Good morning Year 4 and welcome to Thursday's literacy lesson. So welcome back. We're going to start off now with our SPAG starter to get our brains into gear, and this is going to be particularly helpful for today's learning, so we really need to pay attention to our SPAG starter today. So let's start off with our spellings. So I'm going to read the sentence for you here and you're going to try and spot and correct my spelling mistake at home. Okay, so my sentence is, me and my nan made a cake. Okay, so have a look at my sentence. If you need to zoom in on your device, then zoom in and see if you can see where my spelling error is, and can you correct it at home before I get my pink pen out on the board. Okay, so let's have a closer look. So we've got me and my nan made. Now, the A sound, we do have the A and the E, which make the A sound together. However, that's not how we would spell made, is it? Now, when we spell made, it has what we call a split digraph, and that means those two letters are separated. So let's correct my spelling mistake, and well done if you did spot that it was made is my spelling error. So I'm going to put SP where my spelling error is, and I'm going to put M, A, D, E. So I used the correct letters, but they weren't in the right order. I'm going to do it bigger under here so you can see at home what I mean by a split digraph. So I've got M, A, D, E. Okay, and when we say a split digraph, you've got the A and the E, which make the A sound. However, they are separated by the final initial sound, which is D. So we've got A, D. Okay, and that would have the correct spelling of made. So if you have spotted that at home, well done, and you can give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, so now let's move on to our punctuation. So we need to identify the missing punctuation, and I'm going to read the sentence to you. However, you've got to really look closely at where my missing punctuation is. Although she was tired, Tilly went to the party. Okay, so have a close look at that sentence for me, Year 4. Although she was tired, Tilly went to the party. Now, the first things that I'm going to check is, have I got a capital letter and a full stop? And I have. So I've got a capital letter here and I've got a full stop. I've also noticed that there is a person who is named in this sentence called Tilly. So I want to make sure I've got a capital letter because it's the name of a person. It's a pronoun. So let's check. Yes, so I've got that as well. So it's something else, my missing punctuation. So although she was tired, Tilly went to the party. Now you'll notice that halfway through that sentence I take a breath, and that means that I need a comma. Although she was tired, comma, Tilly went to the party. And that's because the comma is separating your main clause and subordinate clause. So we've recapped main clauses and subordinate clauses all week. So we know that a main clause means that it makes sense on its own, but a subordinate clause does not. So let's see if we can figure out which one is which. So I'm going to put my P for punctuation and my comma to separate the main clause and the subordinate clause. Although she was tired, does that make sense on its own? Can that be a sentence on its own and make sense? Although she was tired. No, that wouldn't make sense on its own. Let's see if the other half of my sentence is a main clause and makes sense on its own. Tilly went to the party. That does make sense on its own, so that is my main clause. And although she was tired is my, well done, subordinate clause, which doesn't make sense on its own. Now, does it matter that my main clause has come after the subordinate clause? No, it doesn't matter because altogether the sentence does make sense. Well done if you noticed that my punctuation needed to go here, and an extra well done if you could notice that I've actually started my sentence off with a subordinate clause. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to move on to my grammar. and it says, can you identify the verb in this sentence? So have a quick think at home. What is a verb when we say a verb? Have a think and let's see if you are correct. Okay, so a verb is, you can say it with me, a doing word. So well done if you've got doing word at home. So we need to read the sentence and we need to identify the word which is telling me that somebody is doing something. Sally swam in the ocean on holiday. Which one of those words in the sentence is a doing word, is a verb? Sally swam in the ocean on holiday. Okay, so it should have been, if you could have pointed it out at home or point on your device, you should be pointing at the word swam. So swam is my verb. Now it is in past tense, so the present verb would be to be swimming or to swim, and past tense verb would be swam, but it is still a verb. So well done if you identified the verb in the sentence at home. Now, I did say that this was going to be particularly helpful for your work today. So let's have a look at what you're going to be doing in your booklets. So your learning question for today says, can I proofread an extract of writing? So when we say proofread, it means that after we've edited, it's really important that we read through it again. So although we've made a piece of writing, we've written a piece of writing, we've gone to edit it, which is what we've been looking at the past couple of days. Now we need to proofread it, and that's to make sure that our editing is correct. So you check it, and then you check it again. So after editing your work, you should always proofread it. And what we are looking for is spelling. Have I got the correct spelling? So that's something that we do in our starters. We look through my sentences and spot any spelling errors. I also need to check, have I got the right punctuation in there? Okay, so I need to see, do I need a comma there? Did I need one, or can I remove that comma? So I need to see, does my punctuation match up? And then finally, we need to be looking at grammar. So looking at my word classes and checking for sense. So although we've done that with our editing, we're going to read through the whole of our writing again, just to check that it does make sense and I have used the right words. Sometimes when we are writing, we will be writing in different tenses, and we need to stick to the correct tense. So if we're writing about something that's already happened, what tense should it be in? Have a think at home. If I'm writing about something that's already happened, it should be written in past tense. Well done if you got that, so it's past tense. And sometimes with our grammar, we have to check in our writing, have we stayed in past tense? Okay, so we're going to have a look through some sentences that I've done, and we're going to see what is correct and what needs checking. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some examples, and then we're going to have a look at what you've got to do in your books. Okay. So I want you to try and proofread my sentence in red. My doctor told me to eat lots of fruit, so I ate an apple every day this week. I want you to really have a close look. So we're looking for spelling, punctuation, grammar. Where are my errors? Proofread my work. So I'm going to read it to you one more time. My doctor told me to eat lots of fruit, so I ate an apple every day this week. Okay, so first of all, what I want you to do is to look for the punctuation. When I'm reading, am I pausing at a certain point in the sentence which indicates that I might need a comma? My doctor told me to eat lots of fruit, so I ate an apple every day this week. Now let's have a think. Where could my comma go? If you want to write this down on some scrap paper at home and maybe correct my sentence for me, that's also fine, and you can put in the punctuation where you think it is correct. So I'll give you some time to do that now, and then we will come back and see where this punctuation needs to go. Okay, so my punctuation should have gone here. So you'll notice that I had to take a breath after I said fruit. Listen to it again and then you will see where the punctuation needs to go. My doctor told me to eat lots of fruit, so I ate an apple every day this week. So I actually need a comma here. Okay, so I can put P for punctuation and I can put a comma. Okay, so it's very similar to what we've been doing this morning. So that is my first thing that I wanted to look at. I also want us to have a look at grammar. I want us to check for sense. Does all of my sentence make sense? You need to listen very carefully or look very carefully in the sentence. My doctor told me to eat lots of fruit, so I ate an apple every day this week. Can you spot where my mistake is? It's a grammatical mistake. Something doesn't sound right. Okay, now hopefully you have noticed that it shouldn't be a apple, it should have been an apple. So I need to change a for, so I'm going to cross it out and I'm going to put an. And then that sounds much better. We need to realise when we use a or an. My doctor told me to eat lots of fruit, so I ate an apple every day this week. And now I've proofread and I have edited my mistakes. Let's have a look at another one that I've got on the board. Okay, so same again, thinking about my spelling, punctuation and grammar. I'm going to read through the sentence to you, and then at home, if you want to rewrite the sentence correctly, or you can spot it out and just have a look at home. You must make sure to bring you homework into school on Wednesday, don't forget. Now I've noticed I've got a comma, so I've got a punctuation there. I've also got an exclamation mark, it's telling me don't forget. But I need to have a good look. What is my errors? So we need to proofread this sentence. If you want to take some time now to pause the video and rewrite this sentence correctly, then you can if you know what the mistakes are, or you can carry on watching the video and we'll go through this step by step. So you must make sure to bring you homework. That does not make sense, and I've made an error there, haven't I? It should have been your homework. So I'm going to cross that out and I'm going to put the correct word above it. You must make sure to bring your homework into school on Wednesday. Now I'm going to stop on Wednesday. What can you notice is wrong with Wednesday? Is my spelling correct? Wednesday? Yeah, so my spelling's correct, but I've missed something out, and hopefully you will know at home because we write the dates every day, don't we, in our books, and our dates need capital letters. Well done if you notice capital letters. So I'm going to circle here and I'm going to put a W. Wednesday. So you must make sure to bring your homework into school on Wednesday. Don't forget. Now I'm going to just have a look at this word here, don't. I've used the correct words, however, I am missing punctuation. And that's because don't is what we call a contraction. It's where two words are squashed together into one. So we've got do not is two separate words, and when we contract them together, it makes the word don't. Now, to show that it is a contraction, we do need to put what we call an apostrophe in the correct place. So don't is actually missing some punctuation. So I'm going to write it in big letters underneath so you can see clearly at home, but I'm going to put a P for punctuation because don't is a contraction. Do not. The contracted word is don't. So I've got D, O, N, apostrophe T. Okay, so that's my correct spelling. So don't needed my punctuation. So we've got some punctuation, some sense, some grammar that didn't make sense, but we have proofread and then we've made our mistakes and we've corrected them. Okay, so we're going to have a look at one more. If you want to rewrite this one at home, then you can. Okay, so we need to proofread this sentence. It's a shorter sentence, but I want you to really look closely. When we was going to school, I saw an frog and jumped in a puddle. So what can you notice that's wrong with that sentence? If you want to pause the video, you can rewrite it out. If you've already spotted the mistakes, that's great. If not, I'm going to read it to you one more time. When going to school, I saw an frog and jumped in a puddle. Now think back to what I was saying earlier on in the lesson with tense. Okay, we need to make sure we are maintaining the correct tense. When we was. Often this happens at school. When we was. That's not how we speak. That's not correct English. It's when we were. So we need to cross out was and we need to change that for the correct word so that it makes sense to were. So when we were going to school, I saw an frog. An frog. That doesn't sound right to me. Can you spot what I've done? It's something that we've looked at previously in the lesson. I saw a frog. A frog. We don't need an frog. So it's reading it. Does it make sense? Sometimes you have to read it out loud to notice that it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to cross an and I'm just going to put a. When we were going to school, I saw a frog and jumped. And jumped. And what jumped? We are missing a word there. So sometimes when we proofread, we've missed out a word, and that's often because our brain is telling us to write something on the piece of paper, but because we are thinking ahead, sometimes we miss a key word out. So we need to proofread it. Sometimes out loud is better to notice that we've missed a word. So we should have and it jumped. Now if we have a missing word, we're going to put a tiny little arrow just above where it needs to go, and then we're going to write it. And now this sentence should be grammatically correct. When we were going to school, I saw a frog and it jumped in a puddle. If you wrote that in your scrap piece of paper at home, then that's great and well done, because there were 3 mistakes on there and I made that much more difficult for you. Now when you come on to doing your work at home, you are going to be in your writing books. Okay, so you need this book here and you need to turn to page 8. You're only going to be focusing on page 8 today, and it's all about proofreading your work. So there is an extract which is taken from a newspaper that you are going to read through. Now there are 8 mistakes on there, so you've got to check. Some of them might be spelling, some of them might be punctuation, some of them might be grammar. So checking, does it make sense? Do I need to add any more words in? If you want to use a coloured pen, you can be like a teacher, you can have a pink pen and you can edit it as we go. So you need to circle the mistakes and then you need to correct them. And then once you've done that, I want you to read through the extract and then check, does it make sense when you read it aloud? Okay. Now my challenge for today is a true or false statement. And if you want to start with the true or false statement at home before you begin your writing today, then that's fine. Or if you want to come back to it once you have finished your work, then that's also fine as well. But this is my true or false statement, and I'm hoping 100% of the people that have watched this video know the answer to my true or false statement, because we have gone through it in the video today. Don't is a contraction for do not. Is it true or is it false? Don't is a contraction for do not. Now all you need to do is just type in an email, true or false, and send it over, and I can see who is the fastest person to respond to my true or false statement. Okay everybody, that is all from me today, and I will see you tomorrow for our final writing session of the week. Well done everybody for your hard work, and good luck with your working today.